Making sure that is recording. Oh, it is recording. Cool. I'm just going to make sure everyone's muted because I can just hear a little bit of feedback. Can everyone see this okay? Sorry, I can see Sherry and Nikki if you can pop your thumb up. Lovely. Cool. So today we're doing goal setting and discipline. A few of these principles I have spoken about before in some previous weeks of coaching. The reason I do this one at this time is because what happens when people join a group coaching program? Weeks one, two, three, very, very motivated. Get around weeks four, five, six, and boom, motivation starts to slow down. Kind of seen this a little bit last week when a couple of you didn't maybe get the fat loss that you were expecting or the scale weight loss, and then obviously get really frustrated with it, which is pretty normal. Obviously we know fat loss and weight loss isn't linear. We've spoke about this. It's in the welcome pack, but people are always going to be upset when they feel like they're doing everything they can and they're not seeing a result. So this is why I'm going to teach you a lot of principles today on how to stay disciplined and how to stay really, really motivated despite the metrics, despite the numbers, and what I've personally done in my life and what I've taught other clients to do in their life. So, like I said, it will be a little bit interactive today because scientifically, if we write things down, if we share things, it does make things stronger. So, what we're going to be going through, why most people stay stuck, goal setting that actually works, habits, discipline, and consistency, identity and behavioral change, breaking self-sabotage, the science of change, and the decision point. Again, as you all know me by now, I am very scientific. I like looking at the psychology of things and brain pathways and things like that. So we'll be backing up this with lots of statistics and lots of evidence, and hopefully it'll be interesting because I find this stuff interesting. So why this matters? The same thoughts create the same actions, which create the same results. Most people live on autopilot. Weeks, months, and years will pass and no change will be made. There'll be certain points in the year where they will feel a little bit motivated or they'll try and instill a new habit. It very, very rarely sticks, and the identity that we have when we grow up, we pretty much live with for the rest of our lives. But what I want people to understand is this is definitely able to be changed. And today's about breaking the loop permanently. So understanding why we think the way we think, how to get out of our comfort zone and how to essentially be happier and live a better life because no matter what your goal is, everyone's end goal is to essentially be happier. You know, if you want to lose weight, if you want to get stronger, if you want to live longer, if you want more energy, the whole end purpose of this is to be happier. So that's what we all want. The hard truth, knowledge without action is useless. I have taken you guys through 4 weeks of intense knowledge. You've learned about metabolism, you've learned about aging, you've learned about strength, about protein, about macros, about calories. I can throw as much knowledge at somebody as humanly possible. Without action, it is useless. I am not living with you guys. I can't get you up out of bed. I can't be the ones to drag you to the gym. I can't make you take the action. Yeah, you can bring a horse to water, you can't make it drink. Don't be the person that knows everything but doesn't take any action. The amount of knowledge that I actually knew about strength training before stepping foot in a gym was laughable. Like, I knew about reps and sets and progressive overload. I'd researched it because I was so obsessed with it, but I couldn't physically do the action of going to the gym because I was so anxious. So it was literally pointless me learning about all these things, but not actually putting it into action. Questions like I get quite a lot, especially one-to-one, when a client's not ready, asking about reverse dieting or carb cycling and things like that, and they can't adhere to the deficit. You know, there's no point knowing about all this advanced stuff if you can apply the basic principles. So we've got the knowledge because you've gone through all this knowledge, and this is about how we actually apply it and what we do with it. Execution is the difference between success and stagnation. You have to execute these things. And I know everyone says you need to drink water. I mean, we've all heard before we've joined Elevate that we need to be hydrated. Why is it that probably all of you were dehydrated before you joined? Because for one, obviously you weren't taking action, but also maybe you didn't know the principles behind it. Whereas I've gone into the science behind hydration and things like that, and you'll be more willing to do it. So it's great having all the knowledge, but without the action, it's useless. Yeah. If we look at, for example, like, and I'll speak about this example further down the track, but like Olympic athletes who are runners, like they will know all the knowledge about running. Yeah. They'll know it all. Why bother getting a coach if they know what to do? Because the coach is causing them to take action. Yeah. So it also comes into accountability. Obviously, I've spoke a little bit about my journey. Last minute, I just thought I'd put some pictures in because some people might not have seen. I've not got a lot of pictures of me beforehand. But this is more of the mindset difference between myself personally losing £100. So this was me at £225. This is me at £125. So over £100 fat loss in total. My mindset was very, very different. These two people are completely different people. So what was the difference when I was overweight. So I always focused on what was going wrong. I was a very, very negative thinker. When I think back to that, I had a great life. I mean, at that point in time, I was working for Thomas Cook. I was living in Cyprus. I had amazing friends. Like I was literally traveling the world. I had no financial worries. Like, what was the issue? I was so negative, and looking back, I literally wasted that time working abroad because I wasn't happy. Why does everything bad always happen to me mentality? You know, crazy. Like everything, I just genuinely thought that everything bad that was happening to me was not my responsibility, and I didn't take any accountability for it. It's funny actually because I don't know if you guys know Darren Brown. Essentially he's a psychologist, but I've actually booked tickets to go see him today in March for my brother's birthday. But if you've not watched Darren Brown, watch him. But he actually does a very, very interesting, I say it's like a documentary or um I guess it's a documentary, but he takes two people and it's actually in Todmorden, like local area to where I live in West Yorkshire. And one of these people thinks that they're the luckiest person in the world and everything good happens to them. And the other person thinks everything bad happens to them, the most unluckiest person in the world. They're both business owners, they're both like reasonable financial status, both got nice families. Like there's nothing that differentiates these two people dramatically. And what Darren Brown does, and this completely changed my life when I watched this, um, is he set up scenarios for each of these people, both exactly the same scenario. So, for example, he would stick a 20 quid note to the floor. The unlucky person would walk over the £20 note and not even notice it's there. The person that perceived themselves as lucky spotted the £20 note immediately. And they were both business owners, and another situation happened where he set up an artist to go in and say, "Look, I'd really like to do a gig from your venue. Would you do it?" And the lucky woman said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, we'll do it, we'll set it up." And she got 300 people through the door and made a shitload of money. The other guy was like, "Oh, no, we don't really do things like that," and declined the opportunity and missed the opportunity. And what he was trying to explain through that documentary is that luck is perception. Yeah, and it is. We are as lucky or as unlucky as we want to be. And from coaching a lot of people, and this isn't me being harsh, this is just a noting of what I've known from what I've coached. People who have struggled with obesity or struggled with the weight a lot of their life are more negative thinkers than people who haven't. And again, it comes into victim complex and mentality on the fact that it's either happens to you or it's happened to you. So again, go look at Dan Brown, go watch that documentary if like you a type of person who think you're unlucky all the time. Because once I realized that I was creating my own bad luck, my opportunities in my life massively, massively changed. So this person thought they were very unlucky. Constant excuses. I was too tired, I was too busy or too stressed. And I genuinely thought I had a hard life. Like it's funny, like looking back, like obviously I continued to be overweight while I worked. I lived in Leeds. I worked in finance recruitment. It was a hard job, but this is a hard job. But I just genuinely thought I had the hardest life in the world. I had no kids, no partner. Like I rented, I didn't have a mortgage. Like rent was pretty cheap like back then. And it's funny because I just genuinely thought like I was the hardest worker and I had the hardest life, which is laughable, really. Constantly blaming circumstances and other people and bad luck. Started diets every Monday, quit by Friday, relied on motivations and emotions to make decisions. Everything I did in my life was emotional. What I ate, when I trained, what friends I had, everything was on emotional based decision. All or nothing thinking. If the environment wasn't perfect, I wouldn't do it. If it was raining, I wouldn't go on a walk, you know, like we're all made out of sugar. Um, I used food, I used alcohol and avoidance as coping mechanisms. If life got too hard, I'd heavily drink. I've spoken about my drinking before. I was a massive, massive heavily drinker, which was a coping mechanism. Zero structure, no routine, no systems. As long as I were getting up and going to work, I felt a sense of achievement, which is a very small part of the puzzle. I knew what to do, but I never followed through. And I had low self-trust because I was constantly breaking promises to myself. I'd constantly tell myself I'd do things, I wouldn't do them, and then you stuck in that cycle, like I mentioned the other week. And I felt stuck, frustrated, and out of control. So that was what I was trying to work out the years now, but I was like, shit, like this time's going, that's probably like nine years ago, maybe longer. Um, Me now, radical self-accountability. Everything that happens in my life is a direct responsibility for myself. And you have to sense check yourself sometimes as well. Like, for example, coaching. If I get a couple of clients who decide they don't want to be coached anymore, which is pretty normal in a business, I used to be like, oh, well, this has happened or this has happened when I first started my coaching business. Now I'm thinking, right, could I have done something differently to keep that client? Potentially, potentially not, who knows? But you have to look at things of an act of self-responsibility. Owns every outcome, good or bad, uses structure, routines, and systems instead of willpower, takes responsibility for energy, health, and mindset. I'm away at the moment, which probably a few of you know, and I've lost my water bottle. I've lost that yellow water bottle, and I thought the amount I go on about that yellow water bottle, and I haven't replaced it, and I've not been drinking enough water, and I'm like, bloody hell, I need to buy a water bottle. I thought, literally, when would anyone see me drinking energy drink? But again, self-accountability. I lost the water bottle. I need to replace it. Plans ahead instead of reacting emotionally. Someone's put in the chat. Oh no, I know, I'm absolutely gutted, and I need to find this will be the third exact same one I've bought. Maybe it's just an unlucky one and I keep losing it. Focuses on consistency over perfection, acts when even motivation is low, sees setback as data, not failure, builds habits that run on autopilot, keeps promises to myself, creates a strong amount of self-trust, invests in coaching, education and self-development. I think back and I first invested in a business mentor when I first started the Elevate program because I was clueless about systems and everything. And it was £3,000 and I had to get a loan off my mum and I had no money because I'd been made redundant at the time of starting Elevate. And it was the biggest financial risk of my life because it was a hell of a lot of money and I had no money. But I mean, God, I look back and I think if I'd not spent that 3 grand, I wouldn't be sat here 4 years later. So you have to take risks on yourself. You have to make investments. Moving forward now, I spent over 25 grand on self-development. Yeah, I could have bought a house. I haven't. But long-term thinking, that money investment, that's going to give me a bigger return on investment in the next 10 years than essentially buying a house would. Choosing long-term outcomes over short-term comfort. So that's just me and how I've changed. And I'm going to explain methods that can hopefully help you change your mindset too. Gratitude reflection. So I really want you to reflect on like 2025 and like the last 12 months that you've had and just write in the chat 3 things that you're grateful for. And there's a reason I'm doing this because gratitude shifts mindset from scarcity to control. And it's really easy when we're in a negative mindset to think nothing good has happened to us. Even if you can get one thing, just put things in a couple of things in the chat that you're really, really grateful for in 2025. And Carly, no, I'm not going to be okay. It was the biggest loss. That's been my biggest loss of the year is that water bottle. I thought it serves me right for going on about it, how much I take it everywhere. Lynn's put good friends. I'm grateful for Elevate and how many people we've got on it. Being in a stable job and wage every month, yeah. So if it's a massive one, your dogs. And even if you hate your job, there's another mindset. While you're doing this, I'll just yabber on, but there's another coach called Rob Dial, the mindset mentor. I absolutely love his podcast, but he explained about negative mindset and people will go to the petrol station and their first kind of thought process when they fill up the car is, bloody hell, that was 70 quid. God, that's expensive. God, and like complain about it and not realize the gratitude of having a car that you can A, drive and afford to pay for, but then fill up fuel. You know what I mean? Like it's like we're always thinking negative, negative, negative. Like obviously with the cost of living and stuff in the UK with the bills and things like that, you know. I'll see my mum, she'll get an electricity bill and be like, bloody hell, like this is ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. But how lucky are we that we all get to live together and be warm and pay an electricity bill? Like, it's just the way that thinking of things. What else have we got? Job promotion, new dog, good friends, family support. Um, my family and friends taking the leap and doing this and learning and loving this so much. My son, friends, work. Oh, Nikki's put, I'm grateful for finding you. That's made my day. And I was close to seeing a consultation for a boob reduction. We didn't need a boob reduction, did we, Nikki? New granddaughter, good health. Even your health. I mean, another thing, it just brings up more things. My mum, she won't mind, well, hopefully she doesn't mind speaking about her. She's not on here tonight. But she was really, really struggling a couple of years ago and she was reading like a self-help book on how to be more positive. And it asked her to like think of things that she was grateful for. And in that moment, she couldn't think of anything. Like that's how of a bad place that she was in. And she just couldn't think of anything that she was grateful for because she wasn't in a good headspace. And she turned over the page and it said, be grateful for your eyes reading this book. And it's like, shit. Do you know what I mean? There's some people that wouldn't even be able to read the book, and you're sat there thinking there's nothing you can be grateful for. Um, Job promotion, getting my puppy, having nice holidays, family stable job, beautiful home, nature, family and travel. Health is so important. After 3 10-hour surgeries, my life is completely different. Love them. Really, really great ones, guys. And that's the thing. We have to start off with gratitude because we're never going to get more from life if we're not grateful for what we already have. And it's really, really important to notice that. Um, Gratitude reduces cortisol levels, which is stress hormone. It improves emotional regulation and it builds mental resilience before goal setting. Before you want anything more, think about what you've already got. There's a great book as well from Vex King, who writes the book Good Vibes, Good Life, and he writes a book called The Greatest Self-Help Book Written by You. And a lot of my one-to-one clients have had that book sent to them from me. But if you do struggle with things like this is a fantastic book. And if you're not really fond of journaling or you haven't really got the patience for it, um, oh, Callie just put, "Wow, be grateful for your eyes reading this. It's so powerful." It is. It's a 5 minute. I need to get back on doing this year, but it's a 5 minute exercise that you do every single day, and every single page is different. You fill in a heart on how full you feel, I guess, and you can describe your mood or whatever in certain words. It's a very, very good book, and it also has something in there which I think everybody should do, a reverse bucket list. Rather than constantly writing things down that you want to achieve or want to do, write a reverse bucket list. Write the things that you've already achieved and you've already done because we can be so stuck sometimes in pushing forward in the next goal and the next goal that we never actually enjoy what we've already achieved or we've already done. And I'm a big, big sucker for this because I am constantly trying to push myself forward and never kind of sit back and enjoy the present. And it's something that I'm working on and I think we can all benefit from working on as well. Gratitude example. I use the word Mary in this because I don't think I've got a client called Mary. But Mary 1, nothing went right this year, is a stuck mindset. Or Mary 2, it was tough, but I learned discipline, which is a growth mindset. Same events, different interpretation. And I'll give you loads of different case studies today and show you how we interpret things differently. Why most goals fail? They're too vague, they're emotional, or they're unrealistic. They're the main reasons your goals will fail. It's not backed by any structure or accountability, and you're relying on willpower. Willpower is not very good to rely on because we don't have it all the time. SMART goals explained. So we've probably all heard of a SMART goal before. And again, I'm not teaching you to suck eggs. So if we've all been in a workplace or anything like that, we've already been taught this before. But when you come down to your goals, you do have to structure them in this way. And it's no kind of fluke why a lot of businesses do this and a lot of like life mentorships and things like this do this because it does work. Um, so we want to think of the specific goal. When clients come to me, they will say, "I want to lose weight." That is what everyone basically says. Obviously, we get muscle building and things like that, but mainly, "I just want to lose weight and tone up." We need to define exactly what we want. It needs to be measurable. So we need numbers, we need proof of progress. That's why we do scale weight, we do waist measurements, we do pictures. It needs to be achievable, it needs to be really realistic in your current context. It needs to be relevant, it needs to be aligned with your values and identity, and it needs to be time bound. It needs to have a deadline. Elevate, the group coaching is 8 weeks long. It's very, very successful. And one of the main reasons it's successful is because it's 8 weeks long. Obviously, it helps everything that I do in it, but everyone's got a time bound perception. Yeah. The Elevate program, which is my one-to-one coaching, them ladies come in for 10 weeks. Slightly longer, but it's 10 weeks. It's time bound. Obviously, they can stay on after if they'd like, and you guys can move on to one-to-one after if you'd like. But the first process of a journey is always time bound. So you need to create a deadline to create urgency. Everything needs a deadline. So I want you to write in chat your specific goal. So if it's weight loss or if it's waist reduction, what is the specific goal? If it's you want to get in a dress for, your friend's wedding, like it needs to be really specific. What is your goal, essentially? I want to know what everyone's goals are. So just the first one for now. Yeah, Bethany's put a book recommendation on as well. If anyone's got any book recommendations, put them in the community chat. I love a good book, and I'm sure. So we've got to be stronger, to be able to do one full pull-up, better nutrition to fit in the clothes I never throw away but haven't fit into for years. Want to get back into size 10 fit. Bridesmaid's dress to tone, build muscle and be fitter through the transition of perimenopause. I want to have more energy, feel more confident. Wonderful. So you've kind of hit the first two, so it's specific and measurable. So keep building more muscle. Nikki, if you build any more muscle, you'll be knocking me out. Fabulous. So why is that achievable? So there you go. I want you to write why it's achievable. So, for example, like the bridesmaid dress, well, the date is on X date. I have how many weeks? Like, why is it achievable? Sherry, for example, you fit and active, you've got the ability to do it. It's achievable, isn't it? You've got a really good baseline starter. So, why is that goal achievable? You need to know why it's achievable to turn and wear sleeveless, or even that you're capable. Carly's put size 10 is achievable because I got there before. Yeah, brilliant. You've trusted yourself before through consistency and training. Yeah, love it. And why is that relevant? So I know, so why do you want to do that? And I'm going to talk about the why in a minute. It'd be interesting to see people's whys now and then how the whys might change in a little bit. Like, why do you care? I always say that on when I do consultation calls. I want to lose weight. Why? Well, I want to be fitter. Why? Well, I want to live longer. Well, why? Because I want to see my kids grow up. Why? Like, you could just keep going on and on and on. Keep say it and then ask why. Say it and ask why, and really get to the root cause of it. Eating well forever. Like, what is the point of everyone joining this process? Like, why are you bothered? Yep. Samantha's put I've toned before I built muscle and it was poorly to make there was policy need to maintain it. Feel comfortable in dress, respecting your body. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's funny that you said that, Bethany, 'cause it's funny that we all get this one body, yet we just treat it so badly. Live long and live well. Love them. Feel more confident. Yeah, confidence is massive. I want to talk about confidence like today as well, but people say feel more confident, but feeling confident can literally change the perception of your entire life because you might push yourself for that job promotion. You might, do things that you wouldn't usually do, which are going to lead to a better outcome. Amazing. I want to look in the mirror and like what I see. Hugely important. People don't realize, I mean, obviously, previously to me, when you wake up every single day and you hate yourself, that is so draining and it affects every single part of your life. Comfortable in self. Lovely. Thanks, guys, for being so interactive. I'm going to move on so we're not on this part too much. And then obviously time bound. We're all time bound at the moment because we've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 4 weeks left. I don't know how to count that. And then obviously your goals from then as well. Outcome versus process goals. The outcome is either the weight loss, the promotion, the certification. This is on any goal. We apply this to any goal, not just fitness. The process is the daily habits and routines that lead to outcomes. You have to create your goals to be process focused. You can't just constantly think of the outcome without thinking of the actual building blocks in the process that you have to get to that. It's all right as all sitting there and being like, oh, well, I want to be rich or I want to, I don't know, have 50K in the bank. Like we can all sit there and like manifest till the cows come home. Like sitting there and thinking about it is not going to create action. So when we think about this, we want to reverse engineer your life. So you want to think about the end goal. Yeah. This worked really well when I used to work in sales. Like this is how they would teach us to do sales. Right? You want to bill 25 grand a month for the company. To build 25 grand a month, you're going to need, let's say, for example, 5 sales at 5 grand a month each. In order to get a sale, you're going to need around 4 people in pipeline because 25% are going to reduce in a sale. In order to get 4 people in pipeline, you're going to need 20 hiring managers. To connect with 20 hiring managers, you're going to need to make 100 sales calls. You reverse engineer every process. Every outcome is achievable. You just need to reverse engineer it. I reverse engineered my client capacity. Obviously, I can only coach so many one-to-one clients at any time. I do one group a year. It gets 50 women. For those 50 women, I'll have, say, 15 places for one-to-one. The 15 places for one-to-one will start up. My average client retention is 12 months. So whatever capacity I can work at and whatever income that I want, I just essentially reverse engineer that into my business. Because essentially this is a business. So I love helping people, but it is a business and it has to pay the bills. Um, Sorry, Carly. Carly's putting you talking about the sales metric is making me feel like I'm still at work. Tough shit. I'm joking. This is work. We have to work in our own life. And that's the thing. Funny that you said that, but this is a job. Like looking after yourself is you have to put the same effort into it that you would an employer to make somebody else money. So say, for example, you wanted to become fully confident in the gym by the end of 2026. You know that you need at least one gym session per week by May 2026, and then you could do two gym sessions a week by October 2026. By the end of the year, you'll be confident in the gym. But just telling yourself, I want to be confident in the gym, and either not going or setting yourself up for 5 sessions a week is not reverse engineering your life. So really think about the end goal and reverse engineer it. So what I like to do is when clients finish the 10-week Elevate program, they will have a call with me and they either decide to go solo and I'll help them, or carry on with me. And what I do is I ask them what their goal is in 12 months' time, where they want to be. And then I explain to them step by step how we reverse engineer that week by week, month by month, day by day, in order to ensure that they get to that end of that goal in 12 months. So we reverse engineer it and then I put the habits in place. So think about working backwards. Example, Mary 1 versus Mary 2. Mary 1, I want to lose 10k by June. That's an emotional, fragile goal. Mary 2, I'll train 3 times a week. I'll track my meals 5 days a week. I'll have process based and that's actionable and that's sustainable. Not just what you want emotionally, because we don't get what we want emotionally. Your reasons are not strong enough. So your reasons for change are never strong enough. So this is a pretty extreme example, but it does work. So just saying I want to lose 20 pounds, or if I did not lose 20 pounds, my whole family would die. You would make sure you lost 20 pounds. If you didn't, your whole family would die. The goal hasn't changed. The reason has. So the goal is exactly the same. Whatever goal it is, you need to understand your reason behind that and really dig deep into it. So I really did this when I was overweight. I really wrote down a list of I'm sick of going on holiday, not being able to wear a bikini. I'm sick of not being able to go on dates. I'm sick of not being able to meet new friends. I'm sick of being self-conscious. I'm sick of waking up tired every day. Like I really delved into everything about my life that I really didn't like anymore because they were the reasons that I needed to change. I knew I needed to lose weight, but putting down, oh, I want to lose 100 pounds, that looks like a mountain to climb. I didn't reverse engineer my life. I had so much weight to lose, I didn't know where to start, and it was all very, very overwhelming. And you have to make your reasons very, very strong for change. Just wanting to get fit, just wanting to tone up, you're not gonna, because it's not a strong enough reason. So people only change when something has happened. Getting told you're pre-diabetic or you're trying to conceive. Like the amount of women that have had that, have not come to me because they want to conceive, but they need to lose weight because they want IVF in the NHS and they can't get it because they're over the BMI scale. Now, they're only wanting to start to lose weight because their reason is strong enough because they want to conceive. Before that, oh, I just need to lose weight and turn up a little bit. But as soon as they want to make a life-changing decision, the reasons change. Yeah. So you need to make your reasons strong enough. Otherwise, it'll be very, very hard for you to stay mentally focused. Visualization explained. So mental rehearsal of future self. I do this all the time without even thinking. Like I will think about myself of like my holiday that I've got in 12 months time or 6 months time. And I imagine myself like being confident on the beach, waking up with energy every day. Like I did this so much. And then it obviously helps make it a reality, but your brain responds as if the event is real. And that is going to increase confidence and clarity before taking action. Yeah. So visualization of everything that you do. Um, and think about the future events. Like you've got a wedding to attend, you want to feel amazing. Think about how you're going to feel, how you're going to look, like what confidence are you going to give off? Like really start to visualize your future life that you want. I've done this so much. Like obviously I did it at the start of Elevate when I was still a personal trainer and I was thinking one day, I'll be sat, I'll be, I'll be able to travel, I'll be able to do this remotely, but do this full time. Like, and I would think about how I wanted my life to look. I'm currently sat in Byron Bay in Australia doing a group coaching call remotely, full time. Like, this is not a shock because this is everything that I'd planned to happen. Um, so really start to visualize your life and really start to visualize what that feels like, what that looks like. Um, Imagine yourself walking in the gym confident and calm. Yeah, this really helped me with my anxiety. Like I was going in the gym for months and my anxiety was so, so, so bad. And I was so nervous and my heart rate was so high, it was really impacting my sessions. So I started thinking, right, tomorrow when I go to the gym, I'm going to walk in, I'm not going to feel worried, like, and start visualizing it because your brain is just learning the behavior of being calm. See yourself execute habits perfectly. This will just become second nature. Like, see yourself prepping your food, going to the gym. Like, just start visualizing like this life that you want and imagine overcoming obstacles effortlessly. Imagine yourself walking with an umbrella in the rain, like getting your steps in, the achievement that's going to feel. I know it sounds like stupid, but I promise you, if you don't think it's going to happen, it genuinely won't. And if you just think of your like life through a negative like lens, that's just all that you're going to experience. Visualization science. So why do we bother doing this? It activates the same neural pathways as physical practice, which is crazy. So the same neural pathways that happens when you do it physically happens when you do it mentally. Yeah. And it reinforces the identity change and habit formation because your brain thinks it's already doing it. So when you do the habit, it's going to be easier to attain or easier to achieve because you essentially practice it, practicing in your brain. So there's a lot of science behind it. I could go on for bloody days about it, but really start to visualize your outcomes and really start to think. And I know it's hard, especially if you've been, and I say the word overweight, but obviously this is what the background that I came from. But if you've been overweight for many years or a majority of your life, it's hard to imagine any other. But then that keeps you stuck in the same loop. Like obviously I've got massive physique goals and things that I want to achieve, and I'm constantly imagining what my next version of my physique's going to look like. How does that look? How does that feel? I'm constantly thinking like that rather than the current physique that I'm in. Identity defined. Again, I'm repeating this, but this is important. Who you believe you are dictates your actions. If you believe you're lazy, you're going to be lazy. If you believe you're successful, you'll be successful. Yeah. And if you believe there's no other option, like in my head, there is no other option for me than being successful. Like I don't see another path than that. Like, and I genuinely truly believe it. And my actions then compound into that. You know, if you constantly think you're a failure, if you constantly think you're lazy, like your actions are just going to keep carrying on. We all have lazy days. We all have like demotivated periods of time. Like, don't get me wrong, we all have that. But if you constantly believe it, you're just never going to take action. Your habits are the evidence your brain uses to validate your identity. So it's constant validation. Every time you do things that you shouldn't be doing or you know not helping you towards your best self, that is your brain validating that identity. So you're just genuinely making it harder for yourself and you have to snap yourself out of things. Identity examples. Spoke about this before. Mary 1, I'm bad at consistency. Skips workouts, excuses arise. Mary 2, I'm someone that follows through, takes consistent action. Yeah, it's very hard to tell yourself that you are highly motivated and you're successful and then do all these actions that don't align with that. It like doesn't work. Yeah. And when you do them actions, it creates such a big amount of disappointment where you don't want to do those actions anymore. Breaking old identity. Again, awareness of limiting beliefs. We all have limiting beliefs. Like you all believe like there is a bar and there is a limit. Yeah. We all believe that. It's funny actually because I was talking to my friend Beth this morning and she does wealth management, so she basically manages billionaires. And I was like, speaking to her this morning, I don't know if she can hear me, but I was like, how are these people so rich? Like, I was like, how are these people have got this amount of wealth? I was like, it's got to be generational, hasn't it? Like they've inherited this money. Like this is obviously in America. And she's like, no, 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 these are, I don't deal with generational wealth. Like these are all self-made. These are like million and billionaires. I said, what have they done? Like, what have they done? Like, as you would. And like, oh, well, this person bought a veterinary practice and this person went into tech. And, I was asking questions because I genuinely thought it was like, my brain couldn't compute that people have made millions, if not billions, without generational wealth, like from self-made, but all her clients are self-made. And that is the thing, it's awareness of limiting beliefs. Like all them people are just people like us. And I'm not saying anyone's had the same start or the same opportunities, but none of them were born into wealth. And she's dealing with like the richest percentage of the globe on all self-made. The difference in them and probably the generic person is that they didn't have a limit in self-belief. Yeah. They believed anything was possible. Interrupt negative self-talk. Really, really important. Very easy to get you down on the trajectory about negative self-talk. And action-based proof to reinforce new identity. Prove yourself. I am a consistent person. Okay, well, do your 3 days a week training, do your meal prep, reinforce that new identity. Yeah, very important. Behavioral statistics. I love a statistic. 80 to 95% of people who lose 20 pounds regain it within 2 years. What? Like, imagine me telling you all that before you join group coaching. I would not sell a single person into coaching. But this is the statistics. I'm not lying. This weight regain is huge. So you've not only got the battle of losing it, but you've also got maintaining it. Why? Um, Thanks, Carla. Pop that. If there's any book comments, pop them on the group community forum because this chat will be lost and people will lose it once we're gone. And I don't think. Can you guys see the comments when someone does a comment on this video? Because on the record you can't see them. Can you see them? All right, cool. Because when I look at the recording back, you can't see the comments. And I'm like, did no one knows what I'm talking about when I'm reading the comments? Um, so yeah, you lose 20 pounds really gain it within the first 2 years. That is not a discipline problem. That's an identity problem because people like to go back to the comfortable selves. 75% of lottery winners go broke within 5 years. Why? Because they don't identify as somebody with having money. And I know it sounds so stupid, but again, education as well, not knowing how to manage money, but they don't identify themselves as being somebody who is financially well off. So they go back to being broke. Identity without action fails. You can be handed things on a plate, but without action, you're still going to revert back to your old self. So you have to change your mindset towards it. And these are just facts. Um, Lifestyle statistics. 67% of gym memberships go unused. I seen a video of a day and it was so true. And it was this guy who owns bodybuilding gyms. And he said, I don't want to own bodybuilding gyms anymore. I want to own commercial gyms. And the reason he was explaining is Planet Fitness is the biggest profitable gym in the world, multi-billion pound gym franchise essentially. And their profit model is run off people not going because they sell memberships to general population. So over 70% of their gym memberships go unused, which is music to the ears of a gym owner because equipment's not getting broken, facilities are not being used. Bodybuilding gyms are one of the most unprofitable gyms available because bodybuilders will train 5, 6 times a week, will push very heavy, will break a lot of equipment, will get their full use out of their membership. Because people will say to me, have you not ever considered opening up a gym? No, because I don't believe in gym classes. I don't believe in women lifting light weights. So I would open more of a bodybuilding style gym and it wouldn't be profitable. It wouldn't be profitable because the money is made from people not going, which is insane, you know? And it's even with online coaching. So a lot of online coaches and a lot of people have done group coaching programs before, so they'll know I'm not lying, but they will not tell you the why and they'll not give you the information I give you because they profit on people needing the coach. So they'll say you need to drink water, or they'll keep clients stuck, or they'll make progress slow to feel like they have to have that coach or keep coming back and doing a program. Slimming World, majority of Slimming World's profit is made from repeat memberships, people returning because people go, oh, I lost £50 in Slimming World. Did you regain it back? Yeah. Well, you didn't lose £50, did you? You lost it and regained it. They're working off, people need to wake up to this. It's my style of coaching and the way that I run a business is not financially optimal. Like realistically, you're all paying what, £24 a week on average? Like it's not. We're not millionaires. Like, but also, wouldn't it be better me selling a program at say 45 quid a head and selling it to 200 clients? I'd make shitload more money by selling a cheaper program to hundreds, if not thousands of clients. I'd make a hell of a lot more money. But would I be able to do one-to-one check-ins every week? No. And the value wouldn't be there. So for me, I'd rather have it be on a smaller scale and think of the long-term Facebook reviews, people coming into one-to-one, like the long-term bound of it, yeah? And I know I got off a bit on a tangent there, but yeah, 67% of memberships go unused. Average UK adult is 3 to 4 thousand steps a day. 64% of UK adults are overweight and 26% meet the obesity criteria. Yeah, it's pretty crazy when you look at lifestyle statistics. So like I said, we're all don't want to be a statistic. We all want to be a rarity, yeah? Sleep, hydration, and energy stats. 75% of adults are chronically dehydrated. This is obviously obvious because pretty much all of you were, including me, because I lost my water bottle. So now what am I eating? I'm drinking energy drinks because all the water here is warm out of the tap. Terrible. 1 out of 3 are sleep deprived, both drastically reduce motivation and cognitive function. So no wonder people are like struggling with motivation and discipline because they've got not good cognitive function from sleep deprivation. Um, Comfort zone. My very great diagram that I drew. This is you. This is us all. Everything that you want in your life is outside of your comfort zone. Your dream job, the body that you want, the promotion, the finance, the friends, the travel, the challenges. Um, Unfortunately, everything that you don't have already, you are going to have to do something different to get. It's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing time and time again and expecting a different result. And you've like the bubble theory, which I taught you a couple of weeks ago, but imagining that you've got a bubble behind around you, and every time you do something hard, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and all those things that you found hard, you no longer found hard. Yeah, you have to keep pushing yourself on, because if you stay in this little bubble of comfort zone, nothing will change. Comfort zone explained. Familiar, not safe. Growth requires discomfort. Things that are like changer are not comfortable. Do you think anybody wants to go out in the pouring rain? Do you think anyone wants to get up at 5 o'clock and go to the gym in the morning? Like anything that you do that is different to how you usually live in your life is discomfort. It's not comfortable. Results live outside comfort. So if you're doing something and you're in discomfort, I see that as a positive. If you're walking and getting piss wet through and your feet are wet and you're tired and you want to go to bed and it's uncomfortable, that is I just think, oh well, it's expanding my comfort zone. It's making my results or my outcome more achievable. And when the weather does get better and the rain does stop and the nights get lighter, it's just going to feel easier. Like do think hard things when they're hard because it when it becomes easy, it becomes easier. Um, Again, identify one fear or routine you avoid and type it in chat and how you'll push past it. So put in the chat like something that you're afraid of doing or something that you've been avoiding or a routine or something that you know that you could do, but you're choosing not to do. Just pop them in the chat. I'll be interested to see. My accounts. Does that mean like financial accounts? Funny enough, you say that. I had my tax letter that I just left on the dining room table and did not open before I came away because I was like, avoiding negative energy. Fear of flying, booked 2 holidays for this year. Haven't been abroad in 8 years. Wow. I'm actually terrified of flying as well, Bethany. And everyone says, how do you fly if you're so scared? Because I want the outcome. I want the outcome. Sometimes driving to busy places. Yeah. I want to book a doctor's appointment and do a full MRT and I'm scared of the results. I mean, the results are not going to change, are they? So a great one. It's definitely worth doing. And you've got to think a fear of heights, so abseil down Bolton's Dam, yeah. Yeah, I've got me and my family got well, me and my family say me and mum got a fear of flying and a fear of heights. So we did a skydive last year. And it did help to be fair. So yeah, think of things that you're to get you out of your comfort zone and really think about this year, like one thing to really, really overcome. Yeah. So like a couple of years ago when I lived in Australia, I was scared to meet people and meet friends. And I know it sounds a bit bizarre because I'm quite a social person, but when you're in a foreign country and you literally know nobody. So I was like, how do I meet like-minded people? Because I just don't want to meet people that just want to go out every weekend and do things like that. So I started signing up to networking events. And I went to loads of networking events and met loads of other business owners and young people. And there's so much stuff that you can do to put yourself outside of your comfort zone. So think of something that's really going to scare you and just get it done because the anxiety of sat worrying about it actually takes up more energy than just doing it yourself. Like just doing it. Like the anxiety in the brain space that it takes up is more crippling. Nikki put you got me out of mine the other month when you had me in the hot seat at the Q&A. Yeah, that was funny actually because yeah, and probably get you on again, Nikki, but I'll when with Q&As and like hot seats and like in one-to-one, I bring one-to-one clients in to talk themselves and like I'll give them a little interview and let them talk and who have done really, really well. And I get so much pushback. And I say, just do it because it'll make you feel so much better afterwards. And again, it's got you out of your comfort zone. So it's a great one, Nikki. And then now you've admitted that you've not got an issue with it, you can come talk again. Um, two life paths. So this is just a bit of a case study. Oh, Kerry's put you also got me out of mine as look what I was like sending you my photos. Yeah. So this is like a story essentially. So there were two twin boys in America, brought up by their father, who was an alcoholic, and grew up in a little bit of poverty. And they obviously both grew up into adults. And one of the boys became multimillionaire, very, very successful person in America. And the other twin became homeless and an alcoholic. So they both had exactly the same start in life. Yeah, but their both outcomes are very, very different. And the story was the same start, different results. One twin became wealthy and successful, while the other became poor and blames the circumstances. When both are asked independently why their life turned out the way it did, because they were interviewed, they both gave the same answer. Well, with the father I have, what do you expect? So one of them used seeing their father like that and seeing the life that they lived to make a change and make their life different, and the other one used it as the reason why they became the same. So they had exactly the same start and they had very, very different results. The only difference is the way that they thought about their circumstances. So the same traumatic or difficult upbringing can be interpreted in two completely different ways. The successful twin chose a growth mindset, learning from struggle. Well, the struggling twin adopted a victim mentality, using the past as an excuse. Yeah. And again, I know this sounds harsh, guys, but I've had consultations with women about the reason why they're in the situation that they're in, whether the whatever situation they're in that they want me to help with. And some people will sit there and blame an event that happened 20, 30 years ago on the reason that they sat in their position today. Yeah, which is victim mentality. A lot of clients like that I physically cannot help unless they're willing to change the way that they think, because from experience, I've brought those clients on before, and who have they blamed when things haven't gone right? Me. Yeah, they blame me. Everyone gets the same level of coaching, everyone gets the same level of support, but they will blame me. And I will know that from the way that they explain why they've ended up in the situation. If you think about if someone comes to me and say, oh, well, I got divorced 20 years ago and I was really, really stressed and all this happened, yada, yada. Or I get someone else come to me and say, I've got myself in a rut, I work too much, I'm terrible with my eating, I'm not sleeping right, I don't make time for myself. That is somebody that I can help. I usually cannot help the other person, and I'll either be honest with them because from experience, the only thing is they're dissatisfied with the results and they blame me for their lack of outcome. Yeah, which is not worth my time. Yeah, there's no point. Um, Core principles. You are a reality creator, so your current financial status is a result of your past actions, and you have the power to create a new future regardless of your starting point. Yeah, and I know it's really hard to like take accountability, but for example, let's say like, I don't know, worst case scenario, you was with somebody, they made you take a loan out in your name, they left you, you were left with a 50 grand debt. Most people go, that wasn't my fault, I was left with the debt. Well, realistically, you took the loan out, you chose the partner. Like, if you actually think back, like, every result is usually from your actions. And I know it's a horrible way to think about it because you have to self-blame, and nobody wants to blame themselves, including me. It's really easy for me to be like, and I've said it before and I've had to stop myself being like, oh, I'm not getting a lot of inquiries in coaching the past year because of Ozempic and Mounjaro and everyone's just on the fat loss jabs. Well, yeah, they are, of course, but that is not necessarily the reason why they're not inquiring with me, because it's still, think of how many people they are in the planet. You only need a very small percentage. So victim versus champion mindset. Successful people do not blame their circumstances. They accept the situation and focus on what they can change next. Accept where you're currently at, control what you can control, and change what you can change. The role of struggle. So struggle through challenges is necessary for growth. If you are not struggling at some point, you're not growing. It's not designed to be easy. Your steps are going to go up 1,000 each week. It's not designed to be easy. Comparing it to a butterfly struggling to get out of cocoon, which is essentially to strengthen its wings. Yeah, if we're not struggling, we're not changing. Why one becomes rich and the other becomes poor. So the poor twin believes they are a victim, while the rich twin believes they're a creator. The successful twin takes 100% responsibility for their life, while the other blames external factors. Reaction. The rich twin reacts to negative events by looking for lessons, while the poor twin reacts to feeling defeated. And again, it's like self-fulfilling. Do you know, like when you think something's not going to work out and then it doesn't, and you're like, oh, well, told you it didn't work out. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like if you think, oh, I'm going to be nervous about going to the gym, and you go to the gym, you're nervous, you're like, yep, knew I'd be like that, knew it'd be shit. And it's like we're like self-fulfilling our own beliefs. Like it's stupid. It's so stupid. Choice and responsibility. Everything is a choice. Yeah. Food, movement, thoughts, time. If I had a bloody pound for everyone said, oh, I had no choice. I had to get a KFC because there was nothing else available. Like, I will challenge you on that. Um, we all have choices to make, yeah? For example, like we've been laughing about this because we're in a hostel at the moment, me and my friend, and we've literally got like a tiny fridge. We've got nowhere to sit. We're both working. The laptop's on a bed at the moment. I'm on the most uncomfortable stool in my life. And I'm thinking like I need a high protein breakfast. We've got no cooking facilities. So we just went to Aldi, bought some high protein Greek yogurt, got some blueberries, got some honey, got some muesli. Just been eating that. I was actually eating the muesli out of, because we've got no cutlery, this with a teaspoon, like one of the drinking cups. And it's like, I'm just saying this because we all have a choice. And like old me would have been like, oh no, I need to go for a full English because I've got no choice but to eat shit because I've got no facilities. Do you see what I mean? Whereas now I will just make whatever I've got work. Excuses remove power and action creates freedom. Yeah. You always have a choice for every scenario. I could have bought a water bottle 2 days ago and not be drinking energy drinks. That's a choice. That's a bad choice I've made. It's not out of my control. I've just been lazy. Again, victim mentality, blaming circumstances and other people keeps you stuck. Awareness is the first step to personal power. Just stop blaming other people for your circumstances. Everything is your fault. I know that sounds hard, but most things lead to a decision. And yes, you might have been brought up. I have clients that have been brought up with parents who didn't know nutritionally, didn't, give them balanced meals, and that will impact you. But as an adult, you have the opportunity to change that and not repeat that behavior. Yeah. Mary one, I don't have time. Mary two, I make time. Same schedule, different prioritization. So it's like, would you simply not go to an important doctor's appointment because you didn't have time? No, you'd make time. You'd always make time. You don't miss crucial things in your life. Oh, I couldn't go to that my best friend's wedding. I didn't have time. You need to you need to treat training, your nutrition, and your habits in your life like your life depends on it. Because it does. Whether you live a good life in your 70s, 80s, and 90s are all going to depend on what you instill in the next like 5 to 10 years of your life. And it's just crazy to me that we don't put more emphasis on that. We just think it's minor when it's literally quality life or not quality life. It is literally life or death. Blame feels great. It protects ego, it avoids discomfort, it's short-term relief, it's long-term failure. People love to blame me. Not a lot of people, obviously. But like first thing is, oh, well, that program just didn't work for me. Oh, it was just too overwhelming. Or, people love to create a blame circumstance. Yeah. And it's really, really obvious with even like the group coaching forms and like even if I get somebody who said, oh, the week's been horrendous and blah blah blah, but I still managed to do X and I'm still able to do that. They're not saying I did not hit my protein goal because my child was sick off school. You've got to reframe how you think things. And when you're typing in your coaching forms, look at what you're writing and think, am I blaming a circumstance or, what could I have done differently? It's really, really important of the way that you reflect your actions. Motivation versus discipline. Motivation is temporary and motivation is built off a result. So if we're not getting a result, we're not going to be motivated. We're not going to get a result every week. So if we relied on that, we're not going to be motivated every week. Discipline is a skill, it's built through repetition. Discipline produces results even when motivation is low. So we're creating and curating a skill. That's all we need to see it as, is like a skill that we're strengthening, not something that we naturally have. Organization and preparation. So chaos kills consistency. Planning creates freedom. So like planning your workouts, planning your meals, planning your schedule. I can see instantly off the bat if you've not meal prepped and not prepared your food. I literally know from the second I see it. As soon as I see one veggie patty in a bagel with some light mayo, there is no planning and preparation or thought process gone into that. Yeah. Um, Weekly meal plan, appointment calendar, weekly reset list. Like what do you need to do on a weekly basis to make your life easier? What do you need to do on a monthly basis? Plan shopping days, plan meal prep days, plan laundry timings. Like fail to prepare, prepare to fail. Life is hard. Life is hard for everyone, especially if you're working full time. You've got kids, you got yourself to look after, other people to look after. If you do that without preparation, you prepare to fail. Barriers and solutions. Again, procrastination. Think about micro actions, the 5 4 3 2 1 method, you know, where it's I've forgotten her name, the lady who talks about the let them theory. I was listening to her TED talk actually the week. But for example, like when she was in a really, really bad place and she couldn't do anything because her procrastination was so bad, she would just count 5 4 3 2 1 and take that action. Someone's going to tell me what her name is now. Mel Robbins, yeah, Mel Robbins. Yeah. So yeah, and she's a really. Are you reading it now? Oh, good. Well, Callie will know this, and if you're reading the book now, but yeah, I started reading a book, the start of a book. But what I really liked about her is she didn't make success until she was in her 50s, which I thought was a really, really nice, like a different perspective on it. So if anyone doesn't know who Mel Robbins is, go have a look at her. But basically, she was in a really, really bad place. I think she'd been made redundant. She was in a lot of debt. Her and her husband were in a lot of debt, and they're in a really bad position. She couldn't get herself out of bed. She couldn't brush her teeth. Like she was in a bad way. Anyway, she was trying to find ways to get herself self-motivated and she created the 5 4 3 1 method where she'd lay in bed for hours sometimes on time and then she'd say 5 4 3 2 1, she'd get herself out of bed. And every micro action she counted down from five. It's because psychologically it gives your brain a deadline to create the action. And then her friend was like, she was telling a friend about her method that she was using and it was really helping her. And her friend was like, oh, well, I've got a, talk with all these people. Like, why don't you come and share your method with them all? Why don't you come and talk about your 5 4 3 2 1 method? And she was like, I don't know whether to do it or not. Like, I don't know if it's my type of thing. Anyway, she goes to this conference and talks about the 5 4 3 2 1 method. And unbeknown to her, that was the first ever TED Talk recorded. And if anyone knows what TED Talks are, that they are like um, the most viewed, I guess, like conferences in the world. So she didn't realize, and that was the first ever TED Talk. It went viral. She ended up writing a book about the 5-4-3-2-1 method. She's now a multimillionaire. She ended up writing the Let Them theory. And her success started after 50 from simply being in a bad place. And that just proves that success hasn't got an age limit or an age bracket. Your life can genuinely change at any point. It doesn't matter. Um, I digress a little bit, but go read Mel Robbins' book or listen to a podcast because she's very inspiring. Emotional eating, creative environmental adjustments, low energy, tired all the time, very hard to do shit when you're tired all the time. The answer is usually sleep more. So look at your barriers and look at your solutions. Think about all the things that are stopping you from reaching your potential and writing all the solutions down and then writing how you're going to start implementing them. Start designing your life. We've all got a pen and paper here. Get it out your head and get it on visually. Daily non-negotiables, again, movement, 10K steps or structured exercise, nutrition basics, sleep hygiene, never negotiated. We don't negotiate if we're doing our steps. We don't negotiate if we're going to eat our protein. We don't negotiate if we're going to drink our water. They just have to be ingrained parts of our life. And then micro decisions just carry through everywhere. Like you constantly waiting for the perfect environment to execute a habit is so stupid because you're not always going to be in the perfect environment. You want to do your steps when you're on holiday, when you're at a family friend's house. You want to make sure you're making good nutritional decisions when you haven't got cooking facilities. Like these are just things that we just should be taking through to every part of our life because all those micro decisions add up so quick and make such a huge impact. Future self exercise. Like imagine yourself 12 months from now, and you should all do this. Like think 12 months from now and write down what do you look like? Write some little bullet points. How do you show up? What do you do daily? How does that feel? What are your energy levels like? How is your anxiety? Write it down, like really sit and think, right, from 12 months from now, this is what my life is going to look like. And write it down and be really specific with it. The more specific you are, the better your outcomes, are going to be. And again, this isn't a particular slide on this, but I was just speaking about this with my friend the other day. Um, and we all are really very bad at comparison, and comparison is the thief of joy, and I do believe that. But you're constantly, and especially with social media. I mean, I've got friends, my mum's terrible for this. Oh, look at so and so, she's doing this, or she's doing that, or her life looks so great, or yada yada yada. And I was actually thinking about this morning because so obviously my friend Beth that I'm traveling with at the moment, um, from our Instagrams, and we were laughing at this, like our Instagrams look like we're living the best life. Like, oh, we're at this beach in Byron Bay, and people are probably thinking, God, like they're living up the life. Like we Beth is working harder than I'm working, I'll say that, but she's waking up at 1 o'clock in the morning every single morning to start her job. So yes, she's got her days, but she's working throughout the night and running off like 4 hours sleep, doing her job, managing, doing financial wealth jobs. And I think most people would not be prepared to do that. The reason she's able to come to Australia on holiday is because she's prepared to get up at 1 a.m. to work throughout the whole night till 9 a.m. and then have a nap and then enjoy a day. And that's why you can't compare people's lives because from her Instagram, she's not showing us getting up at 1 a.m. and sat working with a back breaking. I'm not showing myself, I got up at 3 a.m. today. What time is it now? So it's 8 a.m. now. So I've been working since 3 a.m. Most people would not be prepared to do that. And I'm not saying it a fact of like, I'm it in your shit, but like, you've got to understand that people's lives, that what you see is not necessarily the back of what they've had to do to get that outcome. Yeah, so you're just seeing the nice stuff. You're not seeing the stuff where, yeah, we can't go out and we can't have a drink and we can't do stuff like that because we have to work throughout the night in order to enjoy the day. Yeah, so understand that and really understand that comparing yourself to somebody else is not necessarily the right thing to do. And also, would you be prepared to do what that person has done for success? Because I know a lot of successful um people do a lot of things that other people wouldn't be prepared to do, and I know that because a lot of my friends are very successful. But yeah, Nick, I am. I went to bed. What time did I go to bed? I think I went to bed at 4:30, 5 o'clock. It was terrible because there's so many bars around. There's so much live music. I had like earplugs in and a mask, but we make it work. Um, we all have a choice. Again, you have a holiday 6 months from now. You can either be self-conscious around the pool, dread getting ready for your holiday, avoid all your pictures, or you can wear that bikini and feel amazing, say yes to every adventure without worrying, take pictures and have long-lasting memories. I have literally no memories from the age of like 18 to like 22, 23 when I was traveling and working for Thomas Cook and going to all these amazing countries because I literally would not have a picture taken of me, which is sad, very sad. If somebody wanted to like, oh, if one of my friends said, "Oh, do you want to go to Spain next month and do something?" I'd be like, "No," because I think, shit, I ain't got enough time to lose weight for that and make myself feel good for that. My whole life just like runned off like what I thought of my appearance. And it's sad. And I've put a little picture for you here to show you. This was 2 days ago. This was 2018 in the same spot. Yeah. Baggy t-shirt. Again, this is probably the only picture I've got. I'd lost my first 50 pounds by then, but this is how I used to dress on holiday. Yeah. Baggy t-shirt, baggy shorts. And it does affect you, and now I don't give a shit. Um, because it does change your experience of your holiday. It does change the way you perceive things. It changes your energy levels. It changes everything. So I never want to be on holiday like this again. Yeah. And I don't want anybody else to either. The psychology of consistency. So motivation is emotion-based, discipline is identity-based. Motivation is always going to fluctuate depending on how you've slept, your stress, your hormones, your environment. Discipline is built when actions are non-negotiable. High performers don't feel motivated, they just remove decisions. Somebody else put in. Yeah, Nikki's put hardly taken. Totally agree. Hardly any pics from me from holidays say I'll take the pic. And you don't realise, but it's actually sad and it's funny, isn't it, Nikki? Because when you went away last year, you were like putting photos of your bikini on the group, showing everyone. She looks amazing. That's what we want. The decision fatigue trap. So the brain can only make 35,000 decisions per day. Every extra choice drains willpower. And I know that sounds like a lot, but it's really not. Nikki's put, yes, I finally felt happy, which is important. Um, Examples. Should I train today? What should I eat? Should I start Monday? Routines are going to feel boring, but boring always going to win because we don't want decision fatigue. And I know I've spoke about this before, but I'm repeating myself because it's important. Celebrities have used this approach. Steve Jobs wore a signature uniform of a black mock turtleneck, blue Levi 501 jeans, and New Balance sneakers every day to eliminate decision fatigue. He wore the same outfit for literally like 20 years of his life, every day. Because he reduced daily choices, he aimed to preserve mental energy for, as he stated, important decisions at Apple. Obviously, that's the founder of Apple. So, a slight decision that you wouldn't really think of is somebody doing that every day. So, when I'm talking about decision fatigue, what shall I have for tea? What shall I wear today? Shall I go to the gym? We want to eliminate as much as that as humanly possible. When should I cook? When should I meal prep? This is why I'm telling you guys, I'm not saying it for a laugh. Remove all those decisions and engineer your life so we don't have to make those decisions. Loads of celebrities have used this approach. Mark Zuckerberg, who is the founder of Facebook, wearing a same grey t-shirt, jeans, and a hoodie daily, stating he wants to make as few decisions as possible to focus on serving his community. Barack Obama limited his wardrobe to only grey and blue suits during his presidency, explaining he did not want to spend energy on choosing what to wear or what to eat. Albert Einstein reported to own multiple identical grey suits to avoid wasting brain power on his daily outfit selection. Richard Branson, who owns Virgin, has been known to wear the same pair of jeans consistently. Christopher Nolan, famous filmmaker, wear consistent uniform of a dark jacket, blue dress shirt, and trousers. Grace Coddington, who's the former Vogue creator director, famously only wore black. People are doing all this decision fatigue, and it's still us like spending 20 minutes every morning seeing what we look least fat in. Like finding out, I know, I'm saying that we can't always wear the same every day, and I'm not saying you have to do that, but like this is just a very clear example of very, very successful people that we all know the names of who reduce decision fatigue, and we're still there going, oh, can't be bothered doing a meal plan. What? Yeah? Consistency. Mary 1, trains when she feels like it, eats well most days, and is always restarting. Mary 2, trains on set days, she doesn't negotiate, eats similar meals repeatedly, progress compounds quietly. Results come from predictability, not intensity. Yeah, things that we can predict. And I know it's boring. Just eat the same breakfast every day, guys. Just eat a very similar lunch, change your carbohydrate, stop making weird and wonderful things and trying to make God knows what every week to keep things interesting. Unfortunately, creating a lifestyle is not interesting. The upper limit problem. People self-sabotage when things improve. The amount of time I have seen this, things get really, really good for a client and they're on a really good trajectory and they start self-sabotaging. Why? Because our brain wants to go back to our old identity. Oh, things are really good at the moment. I can have that little bit of chocolate. Oh, I can skip that gym session. I'm in a good place. No, it doesn't matter how well you're doing. You keep the level of consistency up. Missing sessions, overeating, quitting programs. Yeah. Again, a lot of my clients will leave the Elevate program because they can be self-sufficient, which is what I want. I want people to be self-sufficient. But a lot of people will quit when they're in a really, really good spot, and then 6 weeks later they're coming back going, "Oh my God, everything's fallen down." Yeah, because sometimes quitting while you're at the peak because you think you can be self-sufficient is not great because success will feel unfamiliar and unsafe, and you will slowly get into bad old patterns, which obviously is not what we want. Fear is disguised as logic. Now isn't a good time. I'll start when life calms down. I need to feel ready. They're all fear-based delays. You can literally start anything at any point. Like it's always a fear disguised as logic. Nothing is ever going to be logical. And especially when I have clients who come for consultations about one-to-one and they go, "Oh, well, I've got a really busy couple of months. Like, could we start in April or whatever?" I'll be like, "Well, yeah, you can, because like it doesn't matter to me. Like, I'm really not going to be pushing anyone. There's no benefit to me whether you start a week or 3 months time. I don't care." But you're always better doing hard things when things are busy because you're waiting for the perfect out like circumstance and doing something when everything's perfect is just going to fall down when things are hard. So I just don't think it's beneficial to do that. Choose your hard. Being fat and overweight and tired is hard. Being healthy, energized, and routine is hard. They're both hard. Like my life was hard back then and it's hard now. They're just hard for different reasons. So training's hard, discipline's hard, saying no's hard, but it's also hard to be ill. I was ill all the time. Like I used to get like tonsillitis every month. I ended up getting my tonsils taken out, but cold and flus, illness, like just constantly getting ill all the time, and I was overweight. Again, can I say it had a direct impact? I don't know, but it seems pretty weird that I very rarely get ill now. Um, which hard are you currently choosing? Because both paths are going to be difficult. Samantha's part, I thought I would stop smoking for the millennial, but then I thought, no, do it today. That was 24th of September 1999, and I've not looked back since. I love that example. So choosing your hard. Why short-term thinking keeps you stuck? I want results now. Extreme dieting, overtraining, burnout. Sustainable progress is unsexy. Losing weight slowly is boring. Eating the same meals a day is boring. You're like not doing like a cold juice cleanse or this new like, I don't know, glucose-based monitoring diet or something. Like we all like the sound of stuff like that. Yeah, but the basics are always going to win. The compound effect of small habits. 1% better daily is a massive change yearly. Missed sessions don't ruin progress. Quitting does. A missed session's not going to kill anything. Sacking everything off is. Going on holiday and over consuming for 2 whole weeks because you've got freedom, that is going to have a bigger impact. So just think if you can do things 1% better daily or weekly or monthly, that is what's going to compound effect. The life in weeks grid. I don't know if anyone's ever seen this. It's really scary. But this is every line is essentially a year in your life. And if you had a 90-year life, that's going to contain approximately 4,680 weeks. An 80-year life, if you're living to 80, you have roughly 4,000 weeks to live. If you are 50 years old, you have completed roughly 66% of a typical 75 to 80-year lifespan, leaving you with approximately 1,350 to 1,560 weekends remaining. I just think it's weird that no one really realizes we're all actually dying and we're constantly waiting to take action. Like, what? Like, I could not think of anything worse than being like 70 years old, like sat in a chair and like, oh, I didn't dare jump off that cliff in my bikini because I was scared about how my bum looked. Like, what? Do you know what I mean? Like, because this is the reality. Like, Carly's put this is exactly what the book recommendation I shared is about. It's called 4,000 Weeks. Cool. So Carly's shared a book. I'm sure she'll pop it on the group community forum so we can see it. But understanding we're all in a ticking time bomb. So like, why are we all waiting till Monday to start or the next month to start? Like, why we all think, oh, I don't want to invest in a coach. Well, you can't take your money with you. That's what my granddad says. Like, do we all think we're just going to take all this money like down with us? Like, no. Like, spend your money, get your benefit, live your happy life like that because we're all dying essentially. Um, the cost of doing nothing, the same body next year, the same frustrations, the same excuses. The time is going to pass anyway. We can't slow it down. Why we're not taking action? The cost of not investing in yourself. Again, I can't really talk about you guys because you have all invested in yourself. I'm sure there's so many of you that were like, oh, shall I join? Shall I not? And then joined and thinking, thank God I joined now. You know, there'll be loads of people that didn't join that'll be sat now still stuck as like they were before December because they didn't want to spend 195 quid. Crazy to me. So nothing material truly improves your life long term. And I like this is talking about the instant gratification. Buying a new phone, buying a new car, getting hair extensions, getting your nails done. Like nothing of that is improving your life long term. Weight loss, fitness, mindset, and habits are tools that improve your life every single day. What you've learned from this program, hopefully, you're going to take into the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years of your life. Yeah. What can 195 quid really buy you now that's going to really impact your life long term? I would say nothing. Yeah. The real return in investment isn't a car or a phone. It's investing energy, confidence, productivity, and health. When you invest in anything in your life, you need to think about the return on investment. What are you getting back for that investment? Yeah. People invest all the time in objects that depreciate, yet hesitant to invest in skills, habits, and guidance that appreciate for life. Like if you look at the like percentage of people in the UK that probably suffer with their mental health and the percentage of people that could afford a therapist, like the chances of them people actually investing in that is probably nothing. Like I don't want to pay 60, 70 pound an hour to help myself, but I'll spend 60, 70 pound an hour every week in the pub on a Friday night. Crazy. But it's because we're just all wired to spend our money for instant gratification. It's the way our brains are wired. We don't want to do the things that we invest in that aren't showing an immediate outcome. Yeah. So think of one thing you spent big on last year, how much of that is still improving your life today? So if you think about everything you've spent in the past 12 months, what you've purchased, what is actually improving your life today? I doubt your flashy new phone is. If you had a broken car and you fix your car and it runs better, yeah, maybe. What about this group coaching? Is that constantly improving your life? I hope so. So think about other things you can invest in yourself. Again, like I said, most people spend 200 quid on a night out without blinking, 2,000 on a new phone, 10 grand on a new car. But when it comes to coaching, therapy, or self-improvement, it's too much. Oh no, I don't want to go get, I don't want to go see a chiropractor and I've got a really bad back. They won't spend the money on things that improve themselves. It's a worldwide issue. Why this is backwards, not, oh, sorry, same, it's the same bloody thing, isn't it there? So again, why high performers always invest. Therapy is one of the best investments. I would recommend it to anyone, even if you feel mentally well. It's funny actually, because like obviously I've got quite a few American friends and they all go to therapy every single week. It's like just part of everyone's life. It's like normal for them. Like even if nothing's going on, they'll see a therapist every single week in America. Most of my friends do, which is bizarre because like we just see that as like a luxury, where they see it as like it's the same as like just maintaining your mental health. So like if we look at high performance, like Olympic athletes have coaches. Like people go, oh, I know how to train now, I don't need a coach. Well, everyone needs a coach. Olympic athletes have coaches. And like if I didn't spend that 3 grand 4 years ago on a business mentor, I wouldn't have this business. You know, just because you think you know something, it doesn't mean that you can execute it. So obviously coaches give you guidance on what to do, when to do it, how to progress without injury or wasted effort. Investing in yourself equals a shortcut to result. Yeah, I think Bethany put on one of her, she messaged somehow, I think it was on a review and said she's made more progress in 4 weeks on the group coaching than she did on 6 months on working on herself. Like that to me is like what you've literally just saved 6 months of struggles. Most people didn't even know how to hit a protein goal before they come to me. So what would that been like 20 years of under eating protein, bone wastage, muscle wastage, like impact on health? What for £24 a week? Like it's not even worth arguing about. But I can't force people to make financial decisions. If you want energy, confidence, health, or longevity, is always the fastest path to invest. So my advice is like when you look at your salary or your income, like try and contribute 10% of your annual income to self betting, whether that's therapy, whether it's whatever you need, whether it's a coach. Try and invest 10%. Like the most successful people will invest at least 10% of their annual wealth into some type of self bettering. So, for example, £3,000 invested in a coach per year will give you better health, energy, mindset, and fat loss for the next 10 years. £3,000 spent elsewhere, temporary pleasure, often gone in days and weeks. Yeah, we don't think really, do we think, oh, we'll spend 1.5 grand and going on holiday for a week because we're getting that immediate little bit of relief, that little bit of relaxation for that week that we feel like we need when we wouldn't spend money on changing like our whole life so we're more relaxed and chilled out 12 months of the year. Like, what? The most successful people spend more on guidance and mentorship than ever would on material things. Ask yourself, am I investing in what truly matters? How much are you paying out for takeaways, Netflix subscriptions, phone contracts, eyelash extensions? Like I talk about this, I used to get hair extensions and eyelash extensions and nails and spray tans. I used to spend so much more on my appearance because I just hated the way that I looked. And imagine I was probably spending 300, £400 a month, but if someone said, oh, get an online coach for 300 quid a month, I'd have gone, are you joking? That's way too expensive. But I was doing all these other things to try and make the way that I feel when all I needed was guidance. So it's just worth thinking about and thinking about your finances, your investment, and what long term that you should be putting your money in to get your best outcome. And that's everything. Oh, only ran a bit over. That's all right. I hope that was helpful. If there's any more comments or any more questions, let me know in the comments. I know that was very quick and I do steam through these, but hopefully you feel a sense of motivation and resilience moving forwards for these last couple of weeks. And we can all check in on time and we can all be very self-aware and self-accountable. Um, but yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining. My absolute pleasure to see you all again. The recording will be up and I look forward to seeing you all next week, same time.
Thanks, Amy.
My pleasure.
Bye.
Have a nice night.
Bye.
Bye bye, guys.